Headline News.
All right, let's start with a game I felt great about, and that's Eagles-Bengals. Remember, I was curious what was going on with this line. It was a great showdown between a matchup of 2019 Heisman finalists. Jalen Hurts outdueled Joe Burrow yesterday, 236 yards, 4 total touchdowns. Saquon Barkley had 100 on the ground. Jalen Hurts afterwards spoke to the team's impressive win.
Today was a great team win, a great showing. As a team, I think we're slowly finding it and trying to piece things together. Ultimately, it comes down to cadence and rhythm and how we play, and then in the end, optimizing all of the talent that we have.
Well, I think
that was a beatdown.
I think that's probably as well as Philadelphia has played in a second half in over a year. So that you may just say to yourself, well, it's just beating the Bengals, but this is a franchise. The Cowboys were off a bye. You can say, well, San Francisco. You have to take care of these moments. When you are the better team, you got to flex. And Philadelphia's got better players. I thought going into the weekend, Cincinnati would win kind of a close game. They stepped on the throat. That was Philadelphia saying, we got a lot better players. And by the way, Jalen Hurts, they've shrunk what they've asked him to do. 16 completions, no turnovers. He had about 10 rushes. They didn't ask him to do anything crazy. The bottom line, last 3 games, they have looked at Jalen Hurts and said, let's shrink the profile of what we're asking you to do. He's running more, it feels like, in the last couple of weeks, which, by the way, this is his gift. He's not the best pocket quarterback. He throws a very nice deep ball. The Eagles have defined, okay, this is what he does. Let's lean into what he does with his athletic ability and his movement, and they've kind of created some clarity on the offense, and I thought it was really impressive.
Really impressive, Colin. The last 6 times they had the ball, they went touchdown, 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 field goal, touchdown, field goal. The Bengals could not stop them. I'm surprised they haven't fired their defensive coordinator yet. That was a bad performance. And you got to start looking at this Bengals team. I thought they would turn it around in the summer. They were one of my Super Bowl picks. They look anemic without T. Higgins.
Okay. They're going to now start talking about the Bengals. We're here to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's get to it. Listen, J-Mac has actually been very high on the Eagles. He's been saying, hey, the Eagles second half of the season, they're going to win some games. Be on the lookout for them. Don't sell their stock. But this idea that they're asking Jalen Hurts to do less, to some degree, I understand what Colin is saying, but we have to actually tell the whole story here, okay? Because this is now 3 straight games with a rating of 119 or more for Jalen Hurts. 9 total touchdowns and 0 turnovers. 4 straight games with no turnovers, right? That is not them just asking him to do nothing. He now has the record for most all time, 14 games with 2 or more rushing touchdowns. And don't tell me it's all because of the brotherly shove, the tush push. Don't tell me that, because that's nonsense. If it was that easy, if anyone could do it, then all the other quarterbacks will do it too. It would be real easy. So don't tell me, oh, it's because it's these 1-yard touchdowns. So go have these other quarterbacks go do it then. If it's that easy, go do it. They can't. Hurts 16 for 20, 236 yards, 11.8 yards per attempt. Right, 10 carries for 37 rushing, 1 touchdown, 3 rushing touchdowns, and a 132.5 rating. They're not asking him to do less. They're asking him to be more strategic. We talk about this all the time, all the quarterbacks. Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, whatever it is. This golden range is asking your quarterback to throw 20 to 25 times. When you ask these quarterbacks to throw 35, 40, whatever, more often than not, it is not a good game plan. It's just not. Sure, if you're in a true shootout and all that, those things happen. But we look at this all the time when we say, oh my God, Josh Allen threw the ball 43 times. What was this game plan? So I don't like that it's then painted that, well, they're asking Jalen Hurts to do less, and that's why they're better. That's painted to me in a way that makes it look like that's unique for all quarterbacks. And it's not, right? It's not. And he does throw a beautiful deep ball. To me, this was collectively a team win. This wasn't just about Jalen Hurts, because it says Jalen Hurts outduels Joe Burrow. This was a team win as a whole. Saquon, 22 carries, 108 yards. The team as a whole, 39 carries, 161 yards. 6 for 11 on third down. I'm a big third down stat junkie, so I always bring it up. 6 for 11 can't get much better than that, quite frankly. Great defense versus the Bengals and Burrow. Obviously, they were tough, physical, stop the run, right? Huge third down and fourth down stops were just massive. They held Chase to 54 yards. And the reality is that they scored more points than the Chiefs and the Ravens in regulation. I think the Ravens ended up scoring more because they went into overtime. But the Chiefs, the Eagles did better offensively, right, against the Chiefs and the Ravens, with the Chiefs and the Ravens versus the Bengals. And they held the Bengals to the least amount of points, since week 1. And the Chiefs didn't have T. Higgins. T. Higgins wasn't playing for the Bengals either. So you can't say, well, T. Higgins wasn't playing. That's not always an excuse. And these aren't perfect comparisons. You can't just say, oh, look, the Eagles beat this team better than the Chiefs or the Ravens, therefore they're better than the Chiefs or Ravens. I'm not making that argument either. It's just another data point to bring up, and it's worth kind of reflecting on and thinking about, quite frankly. But even they were down 2 starting O-linemen again, and yet the O-line was great. Saquon was great. Cooper was great, right? Vic Fangio was great. Kellen Moore was great, right? The team was prepared. They were ready. They didn't even get off to the start that they would have wanted to, right? Because, it was a great opening drive for the Eagles after giving up, a pretty easy touchdown, right? It was like a grueling, 14 plus plays that took 10 minutes. And there was this feeling of this is Joe Burrow. Going into this game, I said, listen, Joe Burrow is elite. He is a top quarterback in the NFL. I don't care what the record shows. He is legit. Right. And so he's probably going to have his moments, but to have that the Eagles be able to kind of stay within range of that, and then also kind of start to put pressure in terms of defensively on Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense going into that, closing out that first half is huge, because you're on the road. You are down 2 starting linemen, right? Your season hasn't gotten off to the start that a lot of people would have hoped it to happen, whether it's because of injuries or just a bad drop. It doesn't matter, right? At that point, in this moment, it doesn't matter. And so this was a game that could go in 2 different directions for the season for the Eagles, because they did get 2 nice wins against the Browns and the Giants, but it was just the Browns. It was just the Giants, right? That's the narrative. And now you're facing the Bengals. You're facing Joe Burrow, who, again, I know their record doesn't show it, but it is still Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. And so you lose to them. It's like, all right, so you only beat the Giants and the Browns and you couldn't even beat the Bengals, right? How good is this team? So the fact that they then said, no. We're not only better than this team, but we are 37-17 better than, and they would have scored even more points as well, right? They obviously could have did even more than that, but they didn't. It just shows you what the Eagles' potential actually is, right? So just to kind of see them kind of go through what they had to do, and again, if you want to say that they asked Hurts to do less, but they asked him to do more in such huge moments, right? I mean, him picking up crucial third downs, right? Him executing a 3-play drive for 70 yards, right? I mean, an insane touchdown to Smith for 50 yards, which was a huge answer after giving up a tough touchdown on defense. I mean, it stunned the crowd. I mean, it literally stunned the crowd. I mean, at that point, it was 3 straight touchdowns for Philly. And then a massive third down stop. And then the massive third down, then the fourth down stop. I mean, the way how this game flowed, every moment when it happened was very crucial at the time, right? It's not like you had this huge throw to Smith when they were already up by 20 or something, right? Then it's that was an awesome throw, but it's at the moment when these things happened is when it mattered, right? The huge interception on Joe Burrow, right? Again, it was done at an incredibly important moment where if they don't get that, the momentum of the game can shift. It's at that point of the game where it's oh man, the Eagles got off to a slow start. They got hot, but now Joe Burrow is starting to catch fire now. Right? It's that moment. All games have that moment where you're oh my God, this is when everything kind of just switched The Eagles got the momentum, and now it just switched, and now the Bengals scored 3 straight touchdowns, and that's the game, right? Suddenly the Eagles couldn't move the ball, and they went 3 and out, and then they went for it on 4th down at the Bengals 20, and they didn't get it, and that's the game, right? But they didn't have it. They stopped the uh-oh moments. Not only did the uh-oh moments come, but they said, nah, these are uh-oh moments for you, Cincinnati Bengals, not for us. This is your uh-oh moments. And that's awesome. That's what you see the top teams in the NFL consistently do. I think the other thing that I really liked that I saw was when Saquon gets off, has a big drive, a big run, but then Hurts ends up scoring the touchdown. And Hurts gives it to Saquon Barkley, right? He gives it to Saquon to kind of spike and pretty much be like, hey, we got this touchdown because of you. That's awesome. That cannot go understated. I talk about this, and I haven't really been able to talk about this with the Philadelphia Eagles. We talk about culture building and team building, but I talk about that what you really know a team is connected when it's family building, right? When the team really feels like they're a family. That right there is family building, right? That's making everyone continue to feel supported, connected, and have each other's backs when the moments do go bad, right? When Saquon does drop the ball against the Falcons, that's our brother. That's our family. Those things happen. Get over it, right? Defending Sirianni. That is our coach. You want to use him as a scapegoat and yell and say he's this bad coach? Be our guest. He's our guy. We don't care about that outside noise. We know who we are, right? That's family building. And that is so important. So I love looking for these little things throughout a game, even though it's 37-17, right? You look for the big things. You look for the moments that happened at what moments and at what time. But the connection between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and to, Devontae just continues to be huge, right? You don't even have Dallas Goedert, but you're throwing the balls to his backup. I mean, like, it was just a great, complete game for the Philadelphia Eagles, right? I mean, Jalen Hurts throughout this whole game was so patient, going through his progressions, right? Making the right throws at the right time. Just love it. I mean, there was an awful penalty, and then he throws this perfect pass to AJ, right? Going through his progressions, and then has a huge run for a first down, right? Like, it was just complete, complementary, situational football when each moment called for it. Because like I said earlier, sometimes you can have these great throws, these great moments, a great run for a first down or whatever on a third down conversion, and it's like, that was awesome and great, but the score was 20-10, right? What were the stakes in that moment? It matters when the score is 10-3 and you're down. It matters when the score is 10-10 and you're going in, you're starting off the second half, right? Those things matter. It's so much easier to come away with big plays when things are already rolling, right? That's what you see with the Dallas Cowboys. You've seen that for years now with the Dallas Cowboys, quite frankly. But what can you do situationally? This was the first game that I really saw the Eagles thrive situationally, and it wasn't because of a deficit of another team. It was because of the Philadelphia Eagles execution. Because if you remember, even in that Saints game, when they had the big run, I think it was to Dallas Goedert, they kind of blamed the defense of the Saints, which I praise the Eagles, but you could still see the argument for blaming the Saints defense and yada, yada, yada. That's fine. We're obviously not going to rehash that. But my point that I'm really ultimately trying to make is that the Eagles won this game 37-17 because of their execution, not because of the ineptitudes or just the bad game plan for the Cincinnati Bengals, right? The Eagles just came in and said, no, we are a better team and we are going to show you why. And that's how this game unfolded. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Philadelphia Eagles dominant win 37-17 over the Bengals? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.